Now, Sex with Your Ex, as a single girl, and she's actually Emily Hartridge, has become a YouTube sensation with her relationship advice, giving 10 good reasons why you should have sex with an ex. We're joined by two women with very different views.
Yes, Natasha Devon says sex with an ex should be encouraged. It's comfortable, safe and convenient.
Well, Sonia Poulton, on the other hand, says that it's like holding a loaded gun to your head. So who is right? Welcome to you both. I just checked whether or not we're going to do our worm today. Yeah, if you want to vote, go to our website, which is itv.com/this morning, to tell us who you side with using our interactive worm, and we'll see what you think by the end of it. Now then, let's start with you, Natasha. Why would you go back? Isn't it looking back to what you had, not looking forward to what you could have?
I think you can see it that way, but I also think there's a different way of looking at it, because I think I represent a growing demographic of women in this country, in the UK. We're in our 30s, we're very busy, we're very career-focused, and we're not necessarily looking for that Prince Charming, you know, to settle down and get married and have millions of babies. And so sex with an ex that you feel comfortable with, an ex that you know each other and you feel comfortable with each other, can actually be a really convenient way to have your needs met when you have a busy schedule.
So this is just sex without trying?
Yeah, and it's so tedious having to go on loads of dates and get to know people, and then they might turn out to be disappointing. So why not just, go where you know it's going to be good?
Oh, are we able to do that? Can we emotionally disconnect from having sex? Is that achievable? Because I always think that when a relationship breaks down, there's always one that's slightly more the dumper or the dumpy, if you like.
Yeah.
So whenever if you're going to have that arrangement where you go back to the ex, one of you is always going to maybe possibly in the back of the head thinking, oh, this is so nice to have this again, or maybe this will lead to something else. I don't know. It seems to me that someone just might get a bit hurt in this.
Well, that's where you have to be grown-ups about the situation. You know, we're all adults, and hopefully we can have an adult conversation. And if either of you feels that you are getting in too deep at any point, you need to be comfortable enough with that person that you can say that. You know, I think it's very short-sighted to think that you can never go back, because there are always some elements of a relationship that were great. So why not extract the good things and not have to argue about whose turn it is to take the bins out?
Well, Sonia, then, in that case, it's not a loaded gun. I mean, it's a nice, safe way to have the sex that you want without having to put too much effort in.
Well, obviously that's what Natasha thinks. I don't, not at all. I think that they're an ex for a reason, and I think that unless you've resolved the reason why you split up in the first place, that sex is just a sticking plaster. And what will end up happening is, once you've got over that honeymoon period of being back together again and remembering all the lovely things that you loved about each other, then you're going to start to pull back the layers, start to reveal exactly what you didn't like about each other. And the truth is that I mean, I used to believe very much in platonic relationships, for example, but I'm not so convinced by them anymore. And I tend to think that in a situation like this, usually one is still harbouring feelings. So obviously that's problematic, because, you know, say the person who's not harbouring the feelings, it just wants a stopgap, wants to get into a situation just for a stopgap because, you know, they're not having regular sex, they just, you know, because it's familiar, like you say. But for the other person, that could be, oh, this is an opportunity for us to have that relationship again. So it is really, really problematic. I don't think it is as easygoing as Natasha believes it is.
Natasha, do you think that it stops you from meeting somebody else, for example?
Well,
if you have this regular sex with somebody and you're being fulfilled in that way, does it stop you then from going out meeting somebody else who potentially you could be with because it's easy, like you're taking an easy option?
Well, I think the problem with what Sonia said is that it's based on an assumption which isn't necessarily true, and it's based on the assumption that everyone is looking to settle down. And not everyone is, you know, particularly in the cities in the UK. People are finding alternative ways to live. People are becoming more career focused. There's a lot of people that live on their own. There's a lot of people that don't want to find the one. They don't want to shackle themselves to one person forever. So, but you still have sexual needs which need to be met.
So how does it work then?
So you just
rock up, knock on the door, and say, you know, here I am. You doing anything? Got half an hour? Or do you go out? Would it be, let's go for a meal beforehand? Let's go to, listen, I tell you what, that was a lovely night. Thanks very much indeed for seeing me again. Let's go to the cinema. And then it's started all over again. Well,
this is the thing, that people can make their own rules. I don't understand why we feel that sexual behaviour... Well, why Sonia feels that sexual behaviour needs to be prescribed. Everybody can do what they feel comfortable with. You can create your own rules. If you want to go out for dinner, if it makes you feel less cheap to go out for dinner beforehand, then do it. But you need to have a regular assessment of your feelings and the other person's feelings, so that the situation you were describing doesn't arise.
So I'm thinking emotionally, I'm not sure how I would feel about it, but she seems very strong-headed. She's very clear with what she
Yes.
wants. So is it not whatever floats your boat?
Of
whatever
course,
works
it's whatever
for you?
floats your boat at the end of the day. But can I just say the benefit of maturity, and the one thing that I've realised with maturity, being in my 40s now, being in my 30s when I was immature, was that I was missing certain things. I was deluding myself. I was saying things like, because I was promiscuous, I was happily promiscuous. I didn't have a problem with it, but a lot of the time, I had sex as a form of affection. I think that's what a lot of people do. I think actually that's quite a retro attitude that Natasha has, because that's what women had in the 90s, this whole attitude of, no strings attached sex. And actually, I think that there is a degree of fooling yourself, even if you don't realise you're fooling yourself. I don't entirely believe Natasha's stance. I have to be absolutely honest, although I know that Natasha believes it, and that's absolutely fine. But I think that for the majority of people, it couldn't possibly work, because sex is not just sex. Sex involves so much more.
With your ex, you were with him for 2 years, weren't you?
That's right.
So you do, at that stage in your life, you were in a long-term relationship. So
Yes.
at that point, you didn't feel that you just wanted to be with different people and focus on your career.
You have to have been in a long-term relationship to realise how hideous they can be, I think. And
maybe you just got your fingers burned.
No, I'm not a long-term relationship person, and all knowledge is provisional. I can only work with how I feel right now and do the best thing for my life right now at this point in time. If I get to 45 and go, oh, that was a terrible mistake, then I'll acknowledge that. But I do think that there are so many women in this country who feel the same way that I do. And did you know 46% of female graduates aged 26 to 35 have chosen to remain single and childless? It hasn't been forced upon them, they've made that decision.
Yeah, I know, but the thing is, that's an entirely different argument. The thing is that I'm single to all intents and purposes. I'm a single mother. I'm definitely not somebody who would, set myself aside of walking down an aisle in a white. So I think that you're projecting too much on me, because that isn't where I'm coming from at all. All I'm saying is that we should be much more aware when we step into a sexual scenario. We should be much more aware that it isn't just about sex.
Well, Emily on YouTube, and she does this just for fun. This is, this is just a laugh that she does. Some of the reasons that she gives, she says it's easy and convenient. You already know what each other's like in bed.
Yeah.
You can tell them to stop if you don't like what they're doing.
Yeah.
She says that you don't have to care what you look like in the morning because your ex has already seen you at your worst. You finally get to utter the words, this is just sex, no strings attached. And it's good. It's a good way to practice your new moves.
Yes.
if you've learnt any. Those are some of the points that she makes.
But that's 20-something woman saying that.
Well, there's lots of 20-something women out there.
Yes, of course there is, but there's also lots of single 40-something women who are saying, actually, it doesn't work like that anymore. And I think that we need to look at the big picture, not just one.
Looking at this, we've got Lee. Lee says, sex with your ex, you should never recook old meat.
Right.
Never go back to cold cabbage.
Good Lord!
What a delightful way to
See why
describe
he has
it.
exes.
Camilla says, why don't we just all be celibate? Why isn't that an option?
Well, I was celibate
of course
too.
it is.
Yeah.
It's not for me.
And sex with an ex, I'd rather poke myself in the eye, says
Yes.
Hannah. So it'd be very
I
interesting
do
to
see
hear
it a bit like that. What you said at the top, the whole idea about the loaded
Let's
gun.
look at
I think
everyone
it is
else's
that to a
views
degree.
here. This
Let's
is the
have a
worm.
Should you have sex with your ex?
No,
26% say yes,
74%.
74. Well, there you go. Ladies,
I do think a lot of people get burnt, so thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you. Welcome.